All right, good morning. Who saw Tawantis and I's video yesterday? Is this thing working? Is this thing working?
That means nobody.
Where is it posted?
It was posted in the newsletter. It's also on our YouTube page. It's a good one.
I'll watch it today.
All right. Very good. We made a few people smile. Well, just me and you so far, I guess, but we're working on that. All right. Tune in. Brian, I see you twice, but I don't see you once.
Yeah, the first time I joined, I couldn't turn on my microphone or anything. It was just like a little spinny wheel.
All right, let's make this super easy. I've been on this kick this week of trying to make the difficult simple. Okay, make the difficult simple. Actually, give me 2 seconds. I want to invite one person to this that isn't here. Hang on one sec. Okay, let's do this. So yesterday I sent out a revised copy of this. This is our fourth quarter GPS. Okay, I just moved a couple of words around and I added, at the suggestion of, I believe, Heather Mueller, I will share my goals with blank. Okay, so like I suggested yesterday, it could be an accountability partner, it could be your spouse, it could be your child, it could be another professional who owns a business who's trying to do similar things. Be whoever you, it could be me, it could be whoever you want, okay, or a colleague in the room. The next thing I want to do is talk about this real fast. This is the daily success list. I've kind of drawn it up a little bit because it's not formatted that great, so my assistant's working on making that look a little bit better. But what we want to do is, this is the simple daily tracker, right? If this is sitting in front of us every day, and this is sitting in front of us every day, right? And maybe we have a vision board or a pipeline in front of us. I mean, there's like, you are totally focused on the right stuff, okay? So what are we doing each day to, meet people and get into conversations with them and ultimately book appointments? And are we learning and developing our skill and making sure that we're prepared for those appointments, okay? So I did a quick millionaire real estate agent economic model to show you what capping in 6 months would be. And interestingly enough, capping in 6 months, it's within like $1,000 or so of grossing $100,000 in a year, which 9 times out of 10, if I ask somebody what their financial goal is for the year, they say $100,000. Okay, and I just want you to know I have every bit of confidence in each of you to think that's possible. Okay, I want you to hear that loud and clear. It is. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not easy, but it's absolutely possible that each of you can hit that number. Y'all believe that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, beautiful. So I created a kind of a short and sweet bullet point of how you're going to get there. Okay. Now I'm just going to round off some numbers real fast. I'm erring on the conservative side every time, but capping is about $1.7 million worth of volume. Truthfully, it's a tiny bit less than that. Okay, but let's just say $1.7 million worth of volume. So the goal is to do that in 6 months, which means that you will you will do basically twice a cap in a full year. Does it make sense so far? Make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out if you got it. Any questions whatsoever. Darlene, did you have something?
No, I was just saying it makes sense. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So here's the short and sweet of it, okay? I have an average sales price of $335,000. It's basically a $10,000 commission check every time you get paid. And that is lower than the average that we have been at for probably close to 2 years in Roswell. Almost every single month since over the last 2 years or so, the average sales price, not in Roswell, but for Roswell agents, for you guys, has been over this number. So this is a pretty conservative number of 335. Okay, by the way, if your average sales price is less than that, no big deal. But understand that this is a business by design, right? So if you happen to be working with people that are not in the desired price range, it's just as easy to speak to strangers that own more expensive homes in a part of town that you prefer to be in, right? So if all of your opportunities are in Jonesboro and you live in Roswell, well, go prospect in Roswell and you'll end up with opportunities in Roswell. Does that make sense? Okay, so very simply, you're going to go on 24 appointments during the course of the year. Okay, half of which are going to be sellers, half of which are going to be buyers. Okay, that breaks down to one of each per month. So month of October starts today. If the month of October ends, for you to be on track for this capping in 6 months goal, okay, you just need to sit down and present to one unique buyer and one unique seller. Is there anybody that if I said to you, all you got to do, Rose, is sit down and meet with one buyer and one seller over the next 30 days, and I will gross pay you $100,000. Is there anyone that would not take that job? No? Sounds pretty
No.
good deal. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go visit with one buyer and one seller per month. That's it. Okay. So here are the big, and I'll make a little pretty page for this too. Keep it even more simple and make sure you have something tangible. Okay. The goal here is to set one appointment per week. If you have not set an appointment by Friday or by Saturday or by Sunday, whenever your quote week is over, you're off track. Okay. One appointment set per week. We're going to go on 3 of those. Okay. So this whole plan accounts for all of the random stuff that's going to happen. Okay. So out of the 4 appointments that we set, we're going to go on 3. We're going to take 2 and we're going to close 1. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So let me summarize. We're going to go on. Hang on. Actually, that's even more conservative than it needs to be, because if we set 1 a week, hang on 1 second. Let me make sure I say this correctly. We're gonna go on 1 seller and 1 buyer per month, and basically you're gonna close 1 of them. Some of them you might get, some of you might not get, some you might get but don't close. But on average, you're gonna set 1, go on 3, take 2, close 1. Make sense? If we close 6 units at an average sales price in 6 months of 335, you will cap. Make sense? Okay. Now, how's that gonna happen? So let's create a little bullet point of the good morning, Ebony, of the order in which we're gonna do this. Okay. First, we're gonna have our daily success list. We're gonna know everything that we're paying attention to every single day. Okay. Now at the upper corner here is where I have kind of the daily stuff that you must accomplish, right? So I just put a couple of examples. Open command, review your goals in 411. What is your social media activity? Have I reviewed my pipeline? Did I do my one thing and did I complete this? If working out or reading a book or praying or having dinner with your family or whatever it is on this list, put it on there. Okay, this is a living document. Now, the next thing that we're going to focus on is the database. Okay, you have to be constantly growing your database. That's just part of owning and running and growing a business. So I'm going to ask you that you grow your database by 2 people every day. 2 people every day. Does anybody think that's just flat out impossible?
No.
Good.
No, sorry.
I agree. Okay, next thing we're going to do is, according to our ratios here, depending on whether we're contacting buyers and or sellers and whatever type of prospecting you're doing, according to my data here, in order to set one appointment, and this is really conservative, I'm going to ask that you speak to 11 people a day. 11 people a day. Rose, you've probably already spoken to 11 people today, haven't you?
Yeah, almost.
There you go. 11 people a day. That's 55 people a week. Now, if your goals are beyond this, don't drop your goals to this. I'm just showing you how simple it is to get to 100. Okay, so 11 daily contacts a day. Now, next is going to be your pipeline. So as you're adding people to your pipeline or adding people to your database, and you're having conversations with 11 people, you're going to create some urgency, and you're going to hear some deadlines and some goals and desires of your prospects. And then that's when they're going to go on your pipeline. So the pipeline is also a living, breathing document. Okay. Then we're going to go on the appointments, and we're going to develop our skill around the appointments, right? Pre-qualification questions, intake questions for buyers and sellers, pre-listing package, listing presentations, buyer presentations. It's nailing some of this stuff, right? It's the prep for the appointment, and it's the research and skill development for what you do when you're on the appointment. Follow me so far? And then it's just the other skill development, right? So it's objection handlers, it's language skills, it's the market research, right? It's setting up templates and DocuSign to make that phase of the process simpler. Make sense? Any thoughts or questions on that? All right, talk to me. I haven't heard anything from you guys today.
We learn you teach, Bill.
What's that?
And we learn you teach.
Wait, say that. Oh, you like it when I teach?
I said we're just listening to you teach us.
Okay. Are you surprised? Like, have you done the math to say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was, just so simple. Set one appointment a week and I'll make 100 grand. Did we realize it was that? Like those metrics existed? Is it more effort or work than you anticipated? Any feedback there?
It's definitely an eye opener. Because like you said, it's definitely measurable. A lot of people put goals in place that's not measurable, and then that's what makes people not achieve the goal. So I think it's doable.
Right, and measurable is really a two-phase process. Number one is the goals got to be measurable, right? I will speak to 11 people a day. And then the second part of that is, as I'm going about my day, I'm tracking how many people I'm speaking to, right? So you're constantly measuring. You're constantly evaluating the metrics of the business. It's kind of akin to, like, let's say you were a baker, okay, and you made donuts and bagels, and you made little muffins and these kind of things, right? Is it fair to say that you would probably know how many eggs you needed a week, and how much flour you needed a week, and like how many man hours it took or woman hours it took for the person to knead the dough and all that kind of stuff?
I don't know how to cook, so this analogy is totally lost on me. Sorry.
Is anyone following me?
I follow.
Okay. It's kind of like if you have a recipe, you need to have the ingredients, right? And you need to know, are we dealing with a pound of flour or an ounce of flour, right? If we don't track our ingredients, then we don't get the result we want. All right, I have to think of a different analogy. That one didn't work so well.
Is there a, like, are you able to like out goal yourself, like set a goal that you want to achieve, but it's just unrealistic, or can you just always like shoot for anything?
Well, if you're asking, can it be done? The answer is certainly. I mean, there are organizations in Keller Williams that are selling thousands of homes a year. So if you were to say, yeah, I'm going to sell 100 homes this year, can that be done? Yeah. Can that be done by one person? Doubtful. Right. And
Yeah.
so it's not that it can't be done. It's just that it requires different systems, right? And it requires more than two brains and two arms and two legs, right? So it's kind of like saying, can one person, can we serve the, 200 dinners in a restaurant tonight? Well, yeah, it happens every night. Forget about COVID, right? Well, could 6 people do it? Could one person do it? Not a chance, right? Same kind of thing. Can the activity be done? Yeah, 100%. Can you singly do it? Doubt it. Nothing against you, but there's probably never been a person in the world to sell 100 homes in a year by themselves. That's just nuts, right? So the question then becomes is what's my strategy for hiring? What's my strategy for leading, inspiring, tracking, coaching, right? Who's doing this phase of the business? Who's doing that phase of the business? Who's doing the admin? Who's doing that, right? So like Andy and Leslie and their team, they've got 15 people in their team. They're going to sell close to 300 homes, right? Is it possible? Of course it's possible. Could Andy do it alone? No, no way. That makes sense? So personally, I'd say the research suggests that somewhere between 30 and 36 transactions a year is when you're going to want some help. Personally, I've always been a little bit more sensitive to the time that I spent in the job. And so I wanted help around 20 units. And I was I was knowingly and willing to part with some of the profits that I probably could have and maybe even should have retained. But I was willing to share those with somebody else because I wanted to share the workload. Y'all follow that? So as you get more and more, as you're having more transactions and you're experiencing more stuff, you're going to realize that like there are parts of the job you really enjoy, and there's probably parts of the job you really don't enjoy that much, right? And that is when you say, I don't really care for this part of the job. Who would like to do this? And there is somebody, I mean, God made each of us different, right? There are some people who love to, dangle off of skyscrapers and clean the windows of a skyscraper. It ain't gonna be me. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, who wants to manage my social media? Ooh, me, right? Some people love that. I don't like that, right? Who wants to dot all the files and, check all the deadlines and make sure all the spreadsheets are right? I don't want that job. But, somebody like Lee or Aaron, they love that job. That's why it's theirs. Make sense? Did that answer your question, Heather? So sometimes, there's kind of two main kind of schools of thought here. One is like, let's set a goal to sell 30 and then we'll sell 16 when otherwise we will sell 10. Right? And it's like reach for the moon and you'll land among the stars or whatever, right? Like that's one theory. And some people would gravitate towards that kind of philosophy, right? Let's push, even though we know we're probably not going to hit the goal, we'll probably outlast what we really need, right? That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is basically to say, I'm going to do 16 units and I know I'm fully capable of doing 16 units and I know what I got to do it. And I'm just going to do it. And I'm not pushing myself to the max. I know I'm not reaching my potential, but I want the wins. I want to say I set an appointment every week for 52 weeks in a row. You see what I'm saying? So the goal is maybe even set a little artificially low so that psychologically you can win and that'll keep propelling you forward. Some people like some people react better to winning the small goals, and some people are pushed that they perform better under pressure where they know the goal is like a super extender. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why if you ask the coaching gurus and all that, about half of them say set goals that are huge and others set goals that are realistic. It's all in how you treated them. Okay, so did anybody complete this yesterday? Not to put anyone on the spot, but
I did
anyone-
the one you sent in the WhatsApp. I did that one, but I didn't do this one because I was already like,
yeah. So I only added a couple. So it's now shared in the Google Drive, and it's your document. So if you wanted to add something, the one I put yesterday, which is I will share my goals with blank, right? So was this? Tell me about your experience here. Was this helpful? Was this something that kind of, do you have like a pit in your stomach now? Like, how do you feel about it?
I actually really like it. I'm gonna print it out, hang it up because I feel like it gives you, it's kind of like a ladder that I need to start climbing to get where I want to be. So I actually really like it.
Okay. Anyone else want to comment? Markia, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was saying that I thought it was really helpful. I got through all the way to the end, I think. So it was pretty helpful.
Okay. I love it. This is really, it's like a checkpoint, right? It's kind of like a I'll give you another example. So let's say you're a plane pilot and you've been flying for 30 years. Do you think that they still go through the, okay, is that sensor on? Is that, gauge in the right place? Do I have that safety precaution in place? Like, have I, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, they still have a checklist of things they do before they take the flight, before they put the plane in the air. Does that make sense? This is like your checklist. Hey, I'm claiming to be a professional real estate agent here. Do I have proof of that? Where's the evidence of that? You got a buyer presentation, you got a listing presentation, you got your database in order, you've got a system of communicating with them, right? You have a system of practicing, right? What's the evidence that you're a professional, right? Like if your client, like I would probably do this because I'm an ass sometimes, but like if I was interviewing a real estate agent, I might just mess around with them a little bit and be like, hey, tell me a little bit about your system for tracking. I'm just testing them. I want to see like how much of a business person they are, because I don't want to be just some random thought that pops into their head. Oh, I forgot to do that for him, right? I want it to be on a checklist. I want somebody to take me seriously. Does that make sense?
That does. That's what I like what you did because like I had a list of things I needed to accomplish and it was there and I knew I had to do it. But now I put like the listing presentation, I want it complete by the 13th. The buyer presentation, I want it complete by the 20th and the pre-listing by the 24th of next month. Yeah. So I have them staggered a little bit so I'm not working on them all at one time. And now I feel completely less stressed than I did yesterday morning because instead of having a list of crap I have to get done, I have one thing at a time to focus on.
Exactly. And now in everybody's day, let's just assume for a second that there's probably nobody that's like perfect on this list. Okay. And every single person's day, there should be what we could call project time, right? Project time. So and by the way, project time might be best at the beginning of the day before we start getting distractions, because many of us are not, please don't take this the wrong way, but many of us are not like fantastic at time blocking. And we're also eager to, when we get an opportunity to meet with somebody, we're eager to do it. And so we're a little bit reluctant to be like, I have a commitment with myself to do some project at 2 o'clock, so I'm not able to show you a home, right? That might be a bit of a hard ask for most of us. And so I'm going to encourage you to either do the project time late at night or early in the morning. Probably don't schedule it in the middle of the day when it's easily going to get threatened. Does that make sense? So project time, right? And it's an appointment that you've set with the most important person, you, to do the most important work, whatever the project is. Right? That's what Jeff Wood says the time blocking is. It's an appointment with yourself to do your most important work. So I have an appointment with myself from 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock to generate leads all the time because that is my most important work. Y'all follow all that? Okay, so I'm gonna make this a little prettier. It's my scratch sheet today. And I will share that just like I shared the fourth quarter GPS. If you have any questions as you're filling that out, please let me know. If it really gets you excited, share it with the group. If you have a goal and you want to be held extra accountable, share it with the group. Right? We are all learning together, y'all. Like there's gonna be bumps in the road. Okay. I was listening to one of the mega camp things on the way in today, and Andy said, perfect is the enemy of done. Did y'all hear him say that? Perfect is the enemy of done. Like some of us would spend 50 hours on a listing presentation and just so they wouldn't have to pick up the phone. Okay. Just get it done and move on to something else. We can polish it later. Let's just get it done. Make sense? Okay. Anything else you guys have questions on? A couple housekeeping things. Today at 11 o'clock, we're going to be doing a session on building your systems. We can talk about whatever systems you care to talk about. Tomorrow, our success series will be from 12 to 1. It will be with Carrie Veal. Carrie is just about to finish her 3rd year in the business. She will make over 400 grand this year. Okay. She has some administrative help. Most of it's kind of case by case. She does not have a full-time assistant, and she does not have a showing agent. She is like a miracle worker, and she is in probably my top 3. No offense to anyone here, of the most caring, giving people in the whole market center. She is just amazing. Okay. Maybe I asked her like 2 years ago to take over my team. I'm 0 for 3 with that request. Anyway, we're going to do a launch mastermind at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Next Wednesday is going to be the Bold 100. So if there are any neighborhoods that you would like us to pull up the call list for you, please go ahead and send those to me so we can get that done ASAP for you. And from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Paul Tully is going to be teaching a class. It's kind of our version of our success series for next week, but we're going to do it on Monday. Paul Tully, who's been an ISA, an inside sales agent, and he is just marvelous on the phone. So Rose, I'm going to ask you to speak about that for just a moment. Rose has been kind of shadowing him for a couple of days. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned or how you're thinking differently, or any results that you've had you'd like to share.
Yeah, so normally I never really thought that I would even consider cold calling as part of my business, but I tried it. I've been doing it for a couple of days now. I really like it. I actually got an appointment from it, so I'm talking to a seller on Monday next week. Paul is really, really good on the phone. And I don't think I'm quite there yet, especially after only 2 days.
Oh yeah, I mean, Paul's been doing it for 3 years.
Yeah, he's been doing it for years. I've been doing it for 2 days. But it's been really great. It's been awesome.
Okay, so 1 or 2 days and 1 appointment already, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal. I think you got the appointment within like the first hour or so of doing it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was crazy. And Paul was like, seriously, that almost never happens, because I was circle prospecting. So it was like they were true cold leads.
Yeah.
They weren't FSBOs or expireds.
All right, so he's going to do the mastermind with us on Monday at 1 o'clock in this room. Don't forget, there's also a scripts class from 2 to 3 through Georgia Legacy Group today. And anything else anyone wants to share?
I actually have a question.
Yes.
Is there a way, so I've set up one of my clients on the portal through FMLS,
Uh-huh.
and she was asking if there was a way for me to send those to her through the app. Is there a way to do that?
Like a notification system through the app when new homes are
Right.
hit the market?
Yeah.
Does anyone know the answer to that?
Not that I know of.
I can't imagine that not being possible. I don't know the answer to that personally, though.
Okay.
Let me make a note of that, and I'll ask a couple people today. Hang on one second. I can't imagine that not being possible. I'll look into that for you, though.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, perfect. And then lastly, please don't make me beg. Just take a moment and complete your numbers through September. Yesterday was the final day of the month. Please fill in your actuals and your goals. It doesn't matter if they're high or low. They just are what they are. Let's just have some awareness around what they are. And if you're not happy with them, let's talk about how to change. Okay? So, go ahead and do that for me as soon as you can. And all right, it looks like we have set more appointments than we ever have in a month. Congratulations. And the next time somebody claims an appointment held, we will also set a record. So great work, you guys. And we have already set the record for the most contracts written and pendings.
That'll happen when I update my numbers. I have an appointment this
Brian?
week.
I love that. All right, go do it. Y'all have an awesome day, okay? See you at 11.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Mhm.